In this video, we explore the profound spiritual significance of salt and its powerful role in spiritual warfare. Many people are unaware of the spiritual dimensions of everyday elements like salt, but today, we'll reveal how this ancient mineral can be used as a tool to break curses and bring blessings into your life. By understanding the biblical and spiritual implications of salt, you'll see why Jesus referred to his disciples as the salt of the earth, and how you can harness this power in your spiritual journey. To begin with, it's essential to acknowledge a foundational truth: everything in existence was created by God. From the largest galaxy to the tiniest grain of salt, everything was made through His will and for His purpose. This truth means that salt, like every other creation, carries a divine purpose. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and salt, being a mineral, was formed as part of that creation. Salt has been present since the dawn of time, embedded in the earth as a tool and resource for humanity. But its significance goes far beyond its physical properties. Throughout history, salt has been recognized for its powerful qualities. It preserves, purifies, and even acts as a symbol of covenant. These roles aren't just physical, they mirror spiritual realities. The Church often emphasizes the spiritual power of oil, water, and fire, but salt is sometimes overlooked or misunderstood. However, like these other elements, salt is endowed with spiritual authority and should be used with intention and reverence. Consider the words of Jesus in Matthew 5, "You are the salt of the earth." This statement wasn't merely metaphorical. Jesus was highlighting the role of his followers in preserving, purifying, and bringing flavor to the world. Just as salt preserves food and prevents decay, we are called to preserve the truth and righteousness in a world that is often corrupt and decaying. Salt's ability to purify also symbolizes our role in cleansing and purifying our surroundings, both spiritually and morally. One of the first significant biblical references to salt is found in the story of Lot's wife. In Genesis 19, God destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah due to their extreme wickedness. When Lot's wife disobeyed God by looking back at the cities, she was turned into a pillar of salt. This act was a divine punishment, a reminder that salt carries the power of judgment. This example shows that salt has a dual role: it can be used to bless and preserve, but it can also be used to curse and destroy when disobedience to God is involved. Salt is also deeply connected to the idea of covenant in the Bible. In Leviticus 2 verse 13, God commands the Israelites to season all their grain offerings with salt, saying, "Do not leave the salt of the covenant of your God out of your grain offerings, add salt to all your offerings." This practice was not merely a ritual, it symbolized the eternal nature of God's covenant with His people. Salt, by its very nature, symbolizes permanence and incorruptibility, making it a fitting representation of an everlasting covenant. Furthermore, in 2 Chronicles 13 verse 5, we read about the covenant of salt that God made with David and his descendants. This covenant is described as perpetual, signifying the enduring nature of God's promises. Salt, therefore, becomes a symbol of God's faithfulness and the unbreakable bond between Him and His people. When we use salt in our spiritual practices, we are reminded of these covenants and the unchanging nature of God's Word. In addition to its role in covenant and judgment, salt is a powerful tool for spiritual warfare. The enemy has often tried to deceive Christians into believing that salt is an evil element, associated with witchcraft and dark rituals. However, this is a distortion of the truth. While it's true that some use salt in ungodly ways, the original purpose of salt is divine. Satan, as a usurper, tries to corrupt what God has created for good. But we, as believers, must reclaim the true purpose of salt and use it as God intended. The Bible provides numerous examples of how God's prophets used salt in their ministries. For instance, the prophet Elisha used salt to purify a poisoned spring, making the water drinkable again, 2 Kings 2 verses 19 to 22. This act was not just a physical healing but a prophetic demonstration of how God can purify and restore. Elisha's use of salt shows that when we use God's creations with faith and obedience, they become powerful tools for His work. In spiritual warfare, salt can be used to break curses and protect against evil. It's not the salt itself that holds the power, but the authority of God working through it. When used with prayer and faith, salt can serve as a physical representation of God's purification and protection. This is why many Christians today still use salt in spiritual practices, such as sprinkling it in their homes to cleanse and protect their space from negative influences. In conclusion, salt is far more than just a seasoning or preservative. It is a powerful spiritual tool, endowed by God with the authority to purify, preserve, and establish covenants. By understanding and using salt in accordance with God's will, we can tap into its divine purpose and wield it as a weapon in our spiritual battles. As you continue in your faith journey, remember the profound significance of salt, and don't let the enemy steal this truth from you. Embrace the power that God has given us through this humble yet mighty mineral, and use it to bring glory to His name.